my channel, The Sun, where we're always working towards something greater. So today we're making a video about something that is obviously very important in doing the kind of practices that we're doing, which is spells or rituals, and how to do them. First of all, I do kind of want to apologize if it sounds a little windy in the background. It's a very windy day today, and there's always constantly an air conditioner in my window, so it's very loud. Tried to find somewhere else to shoot, but couldn't find anywhere else. So, first thing that we're going to say about how to do a spell is that first thing that you need to do, step number one, is to decide or plan your spell. So what do I mean by plan your spell? You could just go into a spell and just decide, hey, I'm going to throw this together, that together, this together, that together, but it's usually better to plan a little bit in advance of when you're planning to do this spell so that you can have everything prepared, you feel confident in it, you're not just kind of throwing things together at the last minute. Now what you're going to do for planning a spell is, I like to, personally myself, I like to write them down on a piece of paper of what exactly I'm doing. So this is going to be like, what kind of spell are you doing? Are you going to do a candle burn spell? Are you going to do just, you know, a ritual for just saying things, spreading salt out, any of those kinds of things, you know, like, are you going to burn things for your ritual? Are you going to, like, what kind of spell is it going to be? Like, what guidelines are you going by to do your spell? That's the first thing you're probably going to want to figure out. Next thing you're going to figure out is, are you going to use any oils? Are you going to use any herbs? Are you into that kind of stuff? If you don't want to, if you don't have any on hand, that's completely okay. You don't have to do that. It's, you know, witchcraft is partially doing, you know, what you have available to you to use in order to actually do your spells. So if you're into herbs, if you want to use herbs, you can usually find a lot of your herbs just in your kitchen. Oils too, you can make yourself. I do a lot of my own oils. You can make your own oils. There's plenty of videos on the internet about that, where you can make an infused oil. It's not exactly an essential oil, but it's just an infused one. So I'm not going to go in a whole lot of details about that, but you can make your own. You can buy essential oils with correspondences to whatever it is that you're trying to bring into your life and manifest. You can use those kinds of things. So that's, you know, what you need to plan out. You need to decide, are you going to face north, south, east, west? Are you going to face any direction at all in particular? Are you going to do it on a full moon, waning, waxing, new? You know, what kind of phase of the day, phase of the week is important to you? You know, you can do these spells pretty much anytime, but these extra correspondences and things that you can use help strengthen your intentions, I do believe. So, you know, if any of that stuff matters to you, you know, what are you going to do for that? Are you going to use any triangles or squares in your protective circle? We'll get into that a little bit later, but all I'm going to really say about squares and triangles is there are different correspondences that you can do within your protective circle that relate to different aspects of, you know, life, for like businesses or, you know, things like that. So that's your first step. And what kind of crystals are you going to use? Are you going to use any crystals? What kind of candle? What color candle? You can be as simple or as out there as you want to be. I do want to emphasize that it doesn't really matter how big or how small you want to go with this, just as long as you have your intention and you believe it's going to work, you believe it's going to do fine. That's all you really need to do. If you want to go out more and do more of an extra oomph to it to help it along a little more, then you can do the extra things to, you know, help strengthen your spell. And that's really all it is preference, and if you decide that you want to do further things for that. And then what you're going to do after you've decided all these correspondence and everything is you're going to actually decide your spell or your mantra. Like, what are you going to say? Is there going to be anything that you're actually going to say for it? Are you going to write out a spell? Are you going to make it rhyme? Are you not going to make it rhyme? Are you going to just have a simple mantra of like, I have this, I am that? Are you going to say just a couple things like that? Or are you just going to kind of fly by the seat of your pants and just kind of do it however you want to do it? Just whatever comes to mind. How exactly are you going to do that? Write that down. If you're going to have a mantra or a spell that you would like to do, write that down and do that. So the next step is going to be actually getting into the spell work. So when you get into the spell work, you're probably going to want to go ahead and first gather all your herbs. Put them on a tray, put them on, gather all your supplies. Whatever it was in this spell that you've written down that you want to be part of your spell, the candle, the oils, the herbs, the crystals, any of that stuff you'll want to gather and have all together. The next step is, of course, making sure that it's whatever day of the week you chose, whatever moon cycle it is that you want to do your spell into. And then what you're going to do is you're going to cast your protective circle. So how do you do that? Doing a protective circle is going to be something that you do where you're really pretty much drawing in good energies and preventing any negative energies from entering your spell work. It's also something that within this you raise energy to balance out the spell, create energy into your spell, and also not drain yourself of the energies or anything, protect yourself from any kind of negative drain, any negative energies or anything that could affect your spell from an outward point of view. So how you're going to do this is that there's different ways you can do this. There's a lot of different ways of how witches prefer to do this. Some prefer to do, involving elements in their spell work, like wind, fire, earth, air, all those things, water. I don't totally do that. I do like a little bit of element water in some of my spells sometimes, but I don't necessarily do my circles as in elements. If you're more interested in that, take a further look into how to do it in that way. But that's part of the spell work, that they believe that, the elements help bring things to fruition and alignment, I guess. So basically for me, how I do a protective circle, that can be part of it, but you also need to envision and kind of like build a wall around you, build a circle around you, wherever you're doing your spell. I kind of like to do it within kind of imagining it to be kind of the whole room, so that I can move around freely within the room without feeling like I'm breaking my circle and moving out of it. So I just kind of like envision in my head a bright white light energy coming down and spreading out from me, and it just kind of me walking around and just kind of, if I want to, doing, an extra sweep, just kind of to slowly imagine building this wall of protection around me in the form of a circle. So what you do after that, after you feel like you have performed that in a safe way to feel protected, the next thing that you want to move on to doing, this can be even before you begin your spell work, where you can do things to raise your energy. But that could be things like dancing. There's, again, a lot of different methods you can do for this. Personally, for myself, I kind of take one of the methods from the Moon Spells book, which kind of resonated with me. And I like to basically imagine positive bright white light coming down, and then I take energy from the ground, and I ask earth energy to rise for me, and I imagine the earth energy coming up and entering the circle, entering myself, being a part of the spell, and the bright white protective life and the universal energy is coming down from the other direction to be all of my energy into this spell. Just kind of infused within myself and my circle, and I ask it to rise and everything. I imagine it rising, all that. And then the next step that you will do is get into your spell work. So now you're going to go ahead and anoint your candle. If it's a candle burn spell, you're going to just say your mantras out loud. You're going to put all your intentions into your herbs and put it into your spell jar, or whatever the kind of spell is. All the intention that you're doing into this ritual or spell is what you're going to do. So if it's a candle burn spell, you're probably going to want to take your oil and rub your candle with oil if you decide to do oil. Maybe make some markings into it of what you want to do, like saying releasing things, or whatever it is, key words that you are trying to rid yourself or bring to yourself. So you might say something like success, loyalty, companionship, whatever the spell is for. And then you're going to use your herbs. And this whole time that you're going to be doing this, of course, you're going to be thinking of your intention. You're going to be thinking very deeply and taking your time to think over each thing. What is this element supposed to bring into this spell for me? What is this particular piece going to do for me? Say if you're rubbing your candle with rose oil, maybe you're trying to do a love spell. So maybe it's for self-love, and you're saying, I am going to be loving and compassionate to myself. I am going to be understanding and not constantly bring myself down. This rose oil is for love. I'm going to love myself. You know, things like that. You're going to just envision that you're putting these things into this candle, so when it burns, you are basically putting those things and those fumes and everything out into the universe of those intentions. And this is for whatever spell you decide to do. Maybe it's not a candle. Maybe it's a jar that you're putting all this intention into. Maybe it's a burning spell where you're trying to get rid of things. Just as long as you keep your intention in mind of whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and what each element that you're putting into this, what it means particularly for this spell, is all it really needs to be in mind. Once you do your spell, you're going to, say your mantra, say your spell if you're going to do this, say whatever the spell is that you're trying to accomplish and trying to bring into your life. Make sure that when you do this, this is a part of the law of attraction. So, when you have these intentions, you're not just going to think, I want to bring this into my life, I want to have this, I want to do this. This is the part of law of attraction, which is important, that you need to change your mindset and be positive about the things that you want, but you also need to speak of your spell as in present tense. So what does that mean? That means you don't say things like, I hope, I wish, I want. You say, I have, I am, this has already happened. Maybe you would do an exercise after the spell saying, writing a whole journal entry about, I have this in my life now, and I'm so excited, and I love this, and I just can't believe my life is so amazing now. You're going to write it as in it's a present tense of something that's already happened. And that's going to, bring the mindset into play, but it's also going to, bring the universal powers into play of knowing what it is you're expecting. That can be something that doesn't create confusion. Now, if you say, I want things like this, you might have some success with that. But you're really going to have the most success when you're confident in not only your spell and yourself, but in what you're actually saying to the universe of what you want. Okay, so that is part of the biggest important thing of this spell, is speaking to it in a present tense. So make sure that you are doing that. And you're going to want to feel confident with this spell. You're not going to want to feel like, oh, am I doing this right? I don't know. I don't think I'm doing this, because if you're doing that, you're putting that negative energy into your spell, and it's possible that it's not going to be as strong to come true if you're doing those things, because it's going to pick up on those energies that you're putting out. That's a very possible thing to happen. So just make sure that you are trying to be as confident with it as you possibly can. As long as you at least mostly feel like you're, doing things right, you're going to have some pretty good results with it. Don't doubt the process, just believe in it, believe that it's going to change, believe that it's going to make a difference. Now, after your spell's over, that doesn't mean forget about it. That means the next step after doing the spell is you've got to stay positive with it. You've got to still keep believing in it. You've got to still keep it in the back of your mind. And one of the most important things about doing spells is that you can't finish a spell and expect that the universe is just going to bring that to you a lot of times. Yeah, maybe it can some ways, but there's also sometimes things that you have to do in order to meet the universe kind of halfway. So say in particular you want a job, a certain specific kind of a job that you've done this spell for. Well, that doesn't mean go sit on the couch and eat Cheetos and wait for somebody to call you about that job. It means you need to go out there, put on your resumes, try and do these things and achieve these things. The spell is just going to be an extra oomph there to help, bring and attract those things to you. I'm not going to say that you won't, have any success with it. You might have a random success of something happening, but it definitely helps to bring these things into fruition if you actually put in some effort. And the universe meeting you halfway with helping you actually get there. Now we're going to go ahead and move into how do you you've already done your spell. You've already put in all the stuff. You already have all your intentions done. Whatever. I do want to put in a side note here. If you're going to leave your circle, if you need to go outside of your circle or something like that, you don't want to leave it for very long. You're going to want to stay with your circle for however long it is that you're doing this particular spell. Maybe if it's a candle burn spell, you're going to probably want to stay in the room with it for as long as it's burning, not only for spell purposes, but safety purposes. But if you do have to leave for a split second or something to go do something, somebody needs your help, something that you can do is just kind of wave your hand over an edge of where you imagine your circle is, and imagine it kind of opening for you there, and as soon as you turn back around, close it. This goes the same way for when you come back to your circle. You're going to want to open it back up, step back inside, close it back up. That's personally something I believe with that. So you don't want to go too far out of your circle and for very long. You know, just kind of return to it as soon as you can, because it still needs your energy and your intentions to be a part of it. However, if it's a short spell and it's not a candle burn spell and you're ready to end your spell, what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and close your circle. So what do you do when you close your circle? First of all, you're going to go ahead and release the earth energies. You're going to say, thank you for being a part of this circle. Thank you for all your help today. Thank you in helping me make all these things. Have gratitude for it. And through this whole process, have gratitude. You know, have gratitude that the universe is helping you through these things and everything. So say, you know, I'm done with the energy. Thank you so much for your help. And imagine yourself releasing it back into the earth. Then you're going to take the upper energy and you're going to raise your hands up and say, thank you, you know, universal energy for your help, and imagine sending it back up into the universe. And I even like to visualize it kind of spreading throughout the universe, that my intention then has entered the universe and it's spreading throughout to become part of what actually I wished for. Then you're going to go ahead and maybe go back around the room and swipe the circle away and just imagine it dissipating and going away, releasing that energy as well. And then you're pretty much done with your spell. After that, again, like I said, keep all those things in mind, keep positive, put a little action into it, and you should, you know, see some amazing results. I know that I feel like I have seen better things coming into my life as a result of spells. And it really is kind of amazing sometimes how much just a little bit of action and a little bit of positive thought and these spells can actually bring into your life. I have noticed substantial differences from it sometimes. Sometimes spells don't work. Sometimes you're not ready for it. Sometimes you need to revisit it. And that's just something that can happen. You know, it's part of the spell work. Some things you're ready for, some things you can bring into your life, and some things just sometimes don't happen. And that's okay. It just means that you need to keep working on it. Maybe there's some other additional spiritual internal work that you need to do before you get to that point. Maybe you just need to try a little bit more externally before you're ready for that. Maybe you have another blockage that you need to work through, like I did with my asking for my self-discipline to be better. I found out it was a cause of anxiety that I needed to work through first, and I'm still struggling with that. And honestly, it's both things together, but the anxiety I've discovered has been a bigger problem, I think, than the self-discipline itself. So that's something that you can kind of learn from the spell work, is sometimes it teaches you lessons when nothing comes of it. Sometimes it teaches you that there's other things you have to do and other work you have to do on yourself first before those things can happen and be part of your journey and what you want to happen. So anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you have a great day. Bye!